I haven't done an unboxing in a while, but I was browsing around Amazon Japan here and came across a couple of Casio watches that I thought were pretty interesting and incredibly affordable. So I picked up 3 of them. I got one of their really cheap analog watches with the resin case and band, but this one's a little bit on the larger side compared to what I've checked out before. So I think it'll fit my wrist a little bit better, and it's got kind of a cool green dial, has a little bit of a field watch vibe. And then I also got an Ani-Digi model from Casio, and this one I think is kind of a reissue of one of their older ones. I haven't been too interested in their budget Ani-Digi watches. I don't like the look of that little cutout in the dial of the watch that has the digital display. I think it looks kind of cheap, but this one they've actually separated that to a different segment of the watch, so I think it looks kind of cool. And the last one that I got was a G-Shock. It is not a DW5600 square. It's not a Casio. It's another one of their entry-level watches that you guys will recognize when you see it, but I got kind of a cool colorway. So let's start opening up and I'll give you my opinions as we do. All right, so maybe unboxing was a little bit of overselling it. I don't know why Amazon Japan ships like this sometimes. I don't get the boxes all the time when I buy from them. So some of the sellers do it like that. Anyways, we're going to unbox one of them and I guess unbag these other 2. Let's start with this one. All right, so first up is the Casio AQ800E7A. This is a reissue or re-release or really heavily inspired by a Casio watch from the 80s. So going to be kind of a theme here because I actually have another reissue from the 90s coming up or something like it. So this is a Casio Ani-Digi. So it has the analog clock up top, and then in a separate segment, you've got this little digital display. And I kind of like that. I guess this is how it was on the AQ450 from the 1980s. A lot of the modern ones have that little digital module inside the dial. And I don't like that. I think it looks kind of cheap. But this is a cheap watch. So this is a plastic or resin case watch. This is not actual metal. It's just a chromed out plastic. It does have a metal band. So flat link, brushed metal, folded links. So we'll see how that feels on the wrist. Kind of your typical Casio band. And I gotta say, like a lot of the classic square-shaped Casio watches I've tried, this comes in a lot smaller than I expected. It is only about 30 millimeters across, and the kind of lug-to-lug is 40 millimeters. So we'll see how that wears on my 7.5-inch wrist in just a second here. But some of the cool things about this one is that in that little digital section, you can actually display a second time zone. So this has dual time on it, and I think that's really handy. So you can have your home time up in the analog display up there, and then you can have the time in a different time zone down in that little tiny digital one there. So if you do need to keep track of what time it is in one other time zone, this is actually a really great kind of format and layout for it. Then obviously by adding the digital module in here, you're getting a stopwatch, you're getting an alarm, and all of those other cool digital functions. There doesn't appear to be any light on this digital portion though, so there's no after dark performance at all. Okay, let's go ahead and throw this on wrist and see how it looks on my 7.5-inch wrist. All right, I guess first we're gonna have to size it. So standard Casio sizing here. Okay, so actually once you get it on the wrist, it doesn't look as small as I thought it would. You know, it's definitely a smaller watch, but again, square watches, they kind of have that effect where they always wind up wearing a little bit larger than you expected. Kind of cool with the dial here. So it has this grid pattern on it. It kind of looks like grid paper that does catch the light in certain angles. So some angles it will show up very prominently, and other angles it will kind of disappear. It's kind of a subtle, fun effect. I think it adds to the sort of retro feel here. Bit of a wrist roll. These Casio bracelets always pull hair on my wrist, and this one does as well. It's already tugging and not very pleasant. But because it's so light and small, it barely moves. So it's not like I get that very often, actually. I could probably get away with wearing it on here. But that said, Vario just sent over some leather straps that are compatible with a lot of Casio watches. And I wonder if they're going to work with this one. Let's try it on. So you can see they probably had like the F91W in mind, or a watch with a black case because it came with a black buckle. But the key thing with a lot of these smaller Casio digital watches is that they have 18 millimeter lugs, but then the lugs kind of really flare out. So the straps are always meant to have this little notch in them. So the width of the strap is actually wider than the lug bars, spring bars. Okay, so that is actually a perfect fit. You can see these fit really well on there. And I think it looks good with the black leather and the kind of white silver style. Yeah, again, this thing weighs basically nothing. It feels like I have a leather strap without a watch on. So for comfort-wise, that's going to be pretty cool. Anyways, this is kind of a fun little look. I don't know how much I'm going to wear it, but I am kind of glad I got to check it out. I picked this one up for about 6,000 yen, which is about $40, and I think you can get it for about the same price on US Amazon. Affiliate link down in the description below if anyone else is interested in checking this one out. Okay, next up we have the Casio MW243BV. Unbagging. So one of the most popular Casios in the world is actually a watch very similar to this. There's like a lot of different variants of it. If I remember correctly, it's the MQ24 series. This is basically the big brother to that. And I have reviewed one of those little MQ24s. And yeah, they're just great, cheap little watches. And this is essentially that, but larger. It's just a simple analog watch. And fairly big, fairly easy to read. And there it is. It doesn't really get any simpler than this. I picked this one up for 2,400 Japanese yen, which is the equivalent of about $20, and you can get it for just about the same price on US Amazon as well. It's just a plastic analog watch from Casio. This one is kind of a field watch layout on the dial. It's an olive green dial with big 12-hour Arabics, and then in small kind of gray printing, you have 24-hour markings for the military time. It's got 50 meters of water resistance, so I think you could actually use this one as a field watch. Casio has a pretty good reputation for their water resistance, so any watch that says 50 meters of water resistance should be able to swim in, and I wouldn't have any qualms about swimming in this guy. If by some chance it does take in water, again, you're only at $20. So if you just need a simple watch that's easy to read, that's, well, we're going to see in a second, probably pretty comfortable if it's anything like the other Casios that I've tried. Let's get the measurements first. So without the crown, you're looking at about 41.5 millimeters across, and then about a 48 millimeter lug to lug. So for a watch that's all dial, no bezel, that's pretty big. And then case thickness is right at 10 millimeters. Let's go ahead and throw this on wrist. Okay, so here you're looking at it on my 7.5-inch wrist, and it does look big for me, but it's going to be very easy to read, and at only 10 millimeters thick, and at this incredibly lightweight, I mean, this thing weighs basically nothing. It's still an extremely wearable, out-of-the-way watch. And given the size of the dial and the size of the numerals, it's very legible too. So if you have any trouble reading a watch, this is going to be one that's going to be very easy to read. Does not have a date. I would like to have seen a date on it because I like watches with dates. But again, if you're looking for a simple, no-nonsense, very comfortable watch that's not going to get in the way, for $20, you can't really go wrong with this. As far as lume goes, yeah, nothing. No lume. So it kind of looks like the hands might have been lume, but they're not. They're just in a white paint to contrast against that olive green dial. Band here is your typical cheap Casio band. It doesn't feel that thin, though. It's a little bit thicker than usual, so, I think that will probably last longer than like an F91W strap. But that said, this is on Casio's like cheapest line of watches. But I do like this size much better than the smaller MQ24. For me, the MQ24 is just too tiny. So this will be a fun one to kind of play around with. All right, last, this is the one that I am actually kind of excited about. This is a G-Shock. This is the it's a DW6900 series. So this is not a square one. It's not a Casio. It's another one of G-Shock's most popular lines. but I got a special edition. This is a JDM version. And let's take a look. So yeah, look at that. This is the DW6900Y9JF. So against the JDM one, and this is it's a 90s reissue color. So the DW6900 is one of your classic G-Shock models. It's got a round case shape, pretty, a lot of wrist presence here, bigger than the DW5600. So here's the DW5600 here. This one definitely appears to be bigger. This one I picked up for 12,800 Japanese yen, which is about $84. And Casio. And this is about to get a little bit noisy in here. Okay, you gonna help me out with this? Yeah. Okay, hold it right there, okay? Can you hold it up here? Hold it like that. Keep it there, okay? Yeah, keep it right there. Hi.
Hi.
Can you say Casio? Casio? Casio. Can you say G-Shock? Well, close enough. All right, I might need to put some B-roll on top of this while I continue to talk because my 2-year-old is here to help out with this unboxing. So Casio said that this one was inspired by the DW001 from the 90s, which has a similar colorway to this, or at least they did one with that colorway. And I have been looking at this 90s version for a while. I was born in 1981, so I grew up in the 90s. So definitely a hit of nostalgia seeing these colors. But what really kind of pushed me over the edge is I saw that Ed Sheeran edition where he did a yellow one of the DW6900. And I actually like this one better than his. I think this is just such a cool colorway with that yellow and gray shroud and the red accents there. And again, I'm kind of branching out with the G-Shocks here. I haven't tried this form factor. I really like that this has the big light button right there, along with the 4 buttons here. The light's one of those things that you're going to use the most. And so it's really nice that you can just have that push button light on the front of it. Okay, so here it is on my 7.5-inch wrist. Yeah, I'm wearing it now. Here, why don't you take this one? Yay. Okay. So here it is on my 7.5-inch wrist, and it looks like a G-Shock. This is kind of, a very classic G-Shock style and look, and it's bright yellow, and I like that. The display does look very clear. I feel like this is maybe a little bit more contrast than the DW5600. I don't know what those 3 little eyes are for, if they're really going to add anything or if it's really just kind of for decoration. But other than that, it's got all of these standard kind of base level G-Shock features in the module. You got stopwatch, timer, alarm. I don't think this one has dual time or world time, which would have been nice. But it's shockproof, it's completely waterproof, it's basically indestructible, and it's a fun colorway. So this is one I think I'll actually get some wear out of. So especially when you're talking about this bright, hang on. Okay, let me hold it for just a minute. So especially when you're talking about this bright yellow colorway. Black, yeah, this one's black. There's definitely a lot more wrist presence. This is definitely a fun thing that, people will notice and see. Whereas I feel like the DW5600, no one's going to even really pay any attention at all to it. This thing just completely blends in. Okay, just a second, okay. The DW5600, people look at this and it's just, you have a watch on. Unless you're into watches, then you might notice this as being, a classic G-Shock. But this is one that, again, it's kind of going to be a fun piece to wear. And since I obviously have children, it's always good to have a tough watch that I don't mind getting banged around. So there you go. I think this one's probably going to feature in some other videos in the future. The other 2, I'm going to wear them and see how I like them and see if there's, if it's worth making another video about, kind of following up how much I actually like them. But let me know your guys' thoughts down below, especially if you want to see separate videos on those other ones. Tell me and I'll see what I can do. Anyways, that's going to wrap it up for this one. I'll see you guys later. Can you say bye-bye? Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. That's going to wrap up the video for today. I may or may not do individual reviews for these, so if there is any that you really want to see a more detailed review of, drop a comment down below. That might give me more motivation to take a deeper look at it. Drop me a comment down below. Let me know which of these you like the best, which one you would wear. And if you have any recommendations for other affordable Casio watches that I should feature here on the channel and take a look at, let me know. I'm always trying to find some good values there. All right, that's going to wrap it up for today. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.